The issue of O.J. Simpson's hand injury and its timing is a critical and controversial element of the 1994 to 1995 O.J. Simpson murder trial, where he was accused of killing his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and her friend Ronald Goldman on June 12, 1994. The discrepancy surrounding when and how Simpson sustained a cut on his left hand, specifically his middle finger, became a focal point in the case, as it tied directly to the presence of his blood at the crime scene. Below is a detailed examination of this issue, drawing from trial evidence, testimony, and related accounts, while addressing the contentious nature of the timing and its implications. Background context. On the night of June 12, 1994, Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman were brutally murdered outside Nicole's condominium in Brentwood, Los Angeles. O.J. Simpson, a former NFL star and celebrity, emerged as the primary suspect. Key evidence included blood drops found at the crime scene that matched Simpson's DNA, as well as blood found in his Ford Bronco and at his nearby estate. A central question was how Simpson's blood ended up at the scene, which led to scrutiny of a visible cut on his left hand, observed after the murders. Simpson was in Los Angeles on the night of the murders, but flew to Chicago later that night for a scheduled event. He was informed of Nicole's death the following morning, June 13, 1994, while at his hotel in Chicago. The prosecution and defense presented conflicting explanations for the injury and its timing, which became a flashpoint in the trial. The injury and its observation, appearance of the injury. Simpson was observed with a cut on the middle finger of his left hand shortly after returning from Chicago. Detectives, including Philip Vaneter and Tom Lang, noted the injury during their initial interactions with Simpson on June 13, 1994. The cut was described as a deep gash, approximately 1 inch long, with additional smaller abrasions or scratches on the same hand. A bandage was sometimes visible on Simpson's finger in the days following. Photographic and medical evidence. Photos taken during a medical examination on June 13th or shortly after showed the cut, which appeared fresh but not actively bleeding. Dr. Robert Huizenga, a defense witness who examined Simpson on June 15th, testified that the cut was consistent with a wound a few days old, but could not definitively pinpoint its origin or exact timing. The prosecution emphasized that the cut's appearance aligned with an injury sustained during a violent struggle, possibly from a knife slipping or contact with a victim. Simpson's explanation. Simpson maintained that he sustained the cut on his left middle finger in Chicago on the morning of June 13, 1994, after learning of Nicole's death. His account, as provided in police interviews and through defense arguments, included the following details. Breaking a glass, Simpson claimed he was in his hotel room at the O'Hare Plaza Hotel when he received a call from Los Angeles police informing him of Nicole's death. In a state of shock or agitation, he said he broke a glass, possibly a drinking glass, in the hotel bathroom, cutting his finger in the process. He stated he did not immediately notice the severity of the cut, but later realized it was bleeding. Vague details. Simpson's account was notably vague. In his June 13, 1994 police interview, he gave inconsistent statements about the injury, initially saying he didn't recall how he got cut, but later mentioning the glass incident. He also claimed he might have reopened an existing minor cut or sustained additional abrasions from handling golf clubs or luggage in Los Angeles before leaving for Chicago. Chicago evidence. The defense pointed to hotel staff testimony and physical evidence, such as a broken glass found in Simpson's hotel room, to corroborate his story. A hotel employee reportedly confirmed cleaning up glass fragments, though no definitive evidence, blood on the glass, directly tied the injury to the Chicago incident. Prosecution's argument. The prosecution, led by Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden, argued that Simpson's injury occurred during the murders, and his Chicago explanation was a fabrication to account for the blood evidence. Their case rested on several points. Blood at the crime scene. DNA testing confirmed that blood drops found at Nicole's condo matched Simpson's DNA profile with a probability of 1 in 170 million per FBI lab analysis. These drops were found in a trail leading from the victims' bodies to the rear gate, suggesting the killer was bleeding as he left the scene. Additional blood matching Simpson's was found in his Bronco and on a glove at his estate. Timing discrepancy. The prosecution contended that the cut's appearance, fresh and consistent with a recent injury, aligned with the timeline of the murders, estimated between 10:15 and 10:40 p.m. on June 12th. They argued it was implausible for Simpson to sustain a similar injury in Chicago hours later, especially one that would produce enough blood to leave a trail at the crime scene. Lack of corroboration. The prosecution challenged the defense's Chicago narrative, noting that Simpson's account was vague and lacked independent verification. For example, no hotel staff witnessed Simpson breaking the glass or bleeding profusely, and no medical records from Chicago documented treatment for the injury. The prosecution suggested Simpson fabricated the story to explain the cut after realizing police noticed it. Mechanism of injury. The prosecution posited that the cut likely occurred during the murders, possibly from Simpson's hand slipping on a bloody knife or from defensive actions by the victims. Ronald Goldman's body showed signs of a fierce struggle, and Nicole had defensive wounds, supporting the idea of a violent encounter that could have injured the assailant. Defense counter-arguments. The defense, led by Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, and F. Lee Bailey, sought to undermine the prosecution's narrative and support Simpson's claim. Chicago incident. They presented the broken glass in the hotel room as evidence that Simpson's injury occurred in Chicago, not during the murders. They argued that Simpson's emotional state upon hearing of Nicole's death could explain the accident. Alternative explanations for blood. The defense famously attacked the integrity of the blood evidence, alleging police misconduct and contamination. They claimed that blood samples could have been planted or mishandled by the LAPD, particularly by Detective Mark Fuhrman, who was later discredited due to evidence of racial bias. This cast doubt on whether Simpson's blood was genuinely at the scene. Injury timing. Ambiguity. The defense argued that the cut's appearance was not conclusive proof of when it occurred. Dr. Huizenga testified that the wound could have been reopened or exacerbated in Chicago, even if Simpson had a minor cut earlier. They also suggested that small amounts of blood could have come from incidental sources, e.g., Simpson cutting himself at home before the murders. Lack of direct evidence. The defense emphasized that no witnesses saw Simpson with a fresh, bleeding cut immediately after the murders, and no murder weapon, believed to be a knife, was recovered to link the cut to the crime. Key points of contention. The hand injury timing discrepancy remains contentious for several reasons. Lack of definitive proof. Neither side could conclusively prove when the cut occurred. The prosecution relied on circumstantial evidence, blood at the scene, cut's appearance, while the defense's Chicago explanation lacked strong corroboration. Medical testimony was inconclusive, as the cut's age could not be precisely determined. Blood evidence integrity. The defense's allegations of evidence tampering shifted focus from the injury itself to the reliability of the blood evidence. This muddied the waters, as jurors were left questioning whether Simpson's blood was even at the scene. Simpson's inconsistent statements. Simpson's vague and shifting explanations in his police interview, e.g., not initially recalling how he got cut, fueled prosecution arguments that he was lying to cover up his involvement. Crime scene dynamics. The prosecution's theory that the cut occurred during a violent struggle was plausible but not airtight. No direct evidence, e.g., a knife with Simpson's blood, confirmed this, and the defense argued that the blood trail could have come from a minor cut unrelated to the murders. Underemphasis in mainstream accounts. As noted, the hand injury discrepancy is often overshadowed by other trial elements, such as the glove demonstration, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," or Fuhrman's discrediting. Yet, it was a linchpin of the prosecution's case, as it directly linked Simpson's physical condition to the crime scene evidence. Trial outcome and impact. The jury acquitted Simpson on October 3, 1995, after a highly publicized trial. The hand injury issue did not decisively sway the verdict, as the defense's broader strategy, casting doubt on evidence integrity, highlighting police bias, and emphasizing reasonable doubt, proved effective. Jurors later cited concerns about evidence handling and lack of conclusive proof as reasons for the acquittal. In the 1997 civil trial, where Simpson was found liable for the wrongful deaths of Nicole and Goldman, the hand injury was again discussed, but remained unresolved. The civil case focused more on patterns of behavior, e.g., Simpson's history of domestic violence, than forensic minutiae.